Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. This is Jackass Retro. My name is Matt, and it is Sunday, a little bit late, and time for another What's Sold video for Postcards. We've been doing this every week now for getting close to a year, a few months away still. This week a little bit different. Still breaking away from the twice a week, just sort of list off all the items that sold, and instead going to be a little bit more curated. So what I've got for you this week is just sort of a selection of a variety of postcards that I think are interesting, have something that I'd like you to maybe learn about them, and hopefully you can have something that takes away. Now, if you like this kind of content, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you're new to Postcards, I do have a series right now that is really on the 101 very basics on how to get into postcard selling on eBay and online. And without further ado, let's go ahead and just get into some of the highlights of this week's sales. Okay, so this first one here is Road Agents Graves in Virginia City, Montana. Now, pretty uninteresting, except for these are, the grave sites of road agents who were murdered in Virginia City. There are real photo postcards of this subject. There are, it's not uncommon by any means. It is an art view postcard, and there are collectors out there for art views. So keep that one in mind. But the reason why I picked this one is because this in my listing was not titled Road Agents Graves, but instead Wrote Agents Graves. Every now and then I get it wrong. I typo. I'm human. Everybody is. And you know what? It's still sold anyways. So, when you're listing stuff, and if you have hesitation, if you are super picky about getting absolutely everything right to get something to sell, well, you know what? I'm going to invoke Mark. People shop with their eyes. And if it's something that they like to see, you very well are going to make the sale anyways. So what's more important here is, I think, the image, the subject. There was enough here for somebody to figure out what it was. Instead of Wrote Agents, it was Road Agents, and it sold for the price that you see here, $7.15 plus shipping. Our next postcard is the Biltmore. Greetings from Asheville, North Carolina. Now, I chose this one because I had mentioned last week that I had sold a postcard from this location before. I knew about what it would sell for, and lo and behold, the next day after I put up that last video, this postcard here sold as well. Different view, same subject, and just goes to show, experience will do it. Now, this one's got some interesting postmarks. I don't know if that's what sold it. You never really know for sure, but considering I just sold a postcard of the Biltmore a couple of days prior to this one, there's probably somebody out there picking up Biltmore postcards. So this one sold for $14.95. I actually believe it went out on a make offer for around $12 and change. So yeah, use your experience to know pricing and what to list. I don't even think that I comped this one when I listed it. Here's another one, very common subject, common location, but this one's got just a little bit something different, right? It's got the little key down here. It's got little notations as to what parts of the mountain that you're looking at. It's got just a little more detail and is a little bit more interesting than your run-of-the-mill postcard of Franconia Notch and New Hampshire. It's unposted. It's Eagle postcard view. I've been selling quite a few Eagle postcard views. I don't believe I had it in the subject line on this one. Maybe I did. Nope. It is just notated as a chrome postcard. That's it. And again, not tremendous money, but when you're looking through, maybe very common subject matters like Niagara Falls or Franconia Notch here or Mount Rushmore, the White House. Take a look at your card and see if there's something that's a little bit different where it can stand out. And this is true, I think, for a lot of collectibles. If you've got something unique, it's a good thing to highlight that. On this one, I sort of cut it down. I made sure that the bottom right had this little box. The eye is going to be immediately drawn to the fact that there's something over or superimposed here on the image. So quite a bit more than if you see it on the full view of the postcard. So this is one where I think that, the zoom in really helped on the card. It's not always going to help, but sometimes it can, and I think that it did here. All right. This one I picked just because I like, and it's a good demonstration of look at what this postcard is. One, you're going to be hard-pressed finding many postcards for Whiskeytown General Store, but we've got the back of a classic car. We've got the remnants of some old gas pumps. We've got a Coca-Cola sign. The sign of the place says Whiskeytown General Store. It's also a U.S. post office. So this postcard crosses over into who knows how many collectible categories. It's not super old. Oh yeah, it's got the Whiskeytown postmark. How many of those do you think there are? Probably not a ton. You probably have to go in and ask for the Whiskeytown postmark to get this thing sent out, right? Or buy a postcard there, most likely. Was up for $14.95, sold for $13.45. Again, this is just, I think it's just cool, right? Who doesn't want, a Whiskeytown anything, right? How many people do you know who enjoy themselves some whiskey? I know a lot. There's a lot of them would love to have, whether or not they collect postcards or not, something that says Whiskeytown up on their wall. All right. Here we have the Cunard line, Carpathia, leaving Messina. This is actually a pretty well documented card, but it sold for $50. And I chose this card not because it's, a Cunard line steamship, not because of the location, not because this was a postcard that this exact image had a good sales history, but because I bought this right off of eBay in a lot that I paid $5 for the lot. It was only about 30 postcards, all of ships. But I looked at the images, which were crummy. I could barely make out Cunarder. And I knew right there, I'm like, I'm going to be able to sell that card for $5. Everything else I make out of that one is $5. I hadn't done the full research on this yet. But my point with this card is, hey, you know what? Postcards are everywhere. You can find them. I've found them on Mercari that I've made money on. I found them on eBay. I find them on HiBid, Etsy, you name it. And if you are vigilant, are willing to do your research, you don't have to buy in huge bulk. You can buy smaller lots that are easier to manage, but do a little bit more research and still be able to make good money. Like I said, this one, $50. So, the content, obviously, this is a kind of a no-brainer. So there you go. I picked this one because I sold it twice this week for the same money, $5. Not huge. It's not a rare card, but it's got a very cool Christmas store display. People love to see this kind of stuff, and it's just interesting. It's a sort of snapshot of the past, still life of a still life. I think it's really neat. Advertising postcard. I don't believe Brunner's exists anymore. So just another neat card. And since it's Christmas, yeah, I picked out a couple of Christmas cards for this video. All right. So here's Lindy's Restaurant. I believe it's in New York City. Yep, New York City. We've got a couple of other restaurants. Here's the Ho Ho Chinese Restaurant, New York City. These all sold to different customers on different days. And then finally, this is the Happy Jack Pancake House in Ocean City, Maryland. You know, I think that a lot of times these really sort of mundane locations get overlooked. And, you know, some collectors are really into this kind of stuff, especially restaurant interiors. If you've been watching these videos, you've seen a ton of them. You know, none of these were particularly huge money or particularly rare, to be honest. But, you know, they sold for $5.95, $19.95. This one I think was a little more scarce. And oops, did I miss one? $5.95. Oh, and Lindy's sold for $3.55. So I mean that's almost $30 on 3 postcards. They're all restaurants. You know, this one we can say, you know, the neon lights. I've got a sort of place in my heart for vintage food photographs where the food looks really artificial, like this one. They're highlighting their cheesecake, but man, that looks like no colors I've ever seen in a cheesecake. Yeah. So sometimes the mundane can be the stuff that sells really well. And speaking of that, we got a couple of hotels. Now, this one's a little more interesting. It's got the big windmill on top. This is Linden, Washington. The Windmill Inn Motel. Of course, motels are always sellers, but to kind of contrast that, this is the Sheraton Hotel. Sheraton Hotel in Chicago. The Hyatt Regency, not the Sheraton. It's just the picture of the lobby. I had 2 of this card at one point. They both sold. One of them I shipped overseas. I'm not sure, but I think this hotel lobby has been in movies, and I think maybe it was in Last Action Hero. I don't know. You could look it up, but it looks kind of like the thing from Last Action Hero. In any case, sold twice now. It's really not that great of a postcard, right? It's just a picture of the lobby with a picture of the Tubi elevator thing here. And yeah, if you know the movie, if this was in a movie, what movie or movies has this been in? This is the Chicago Hyatt. $2.95. There we go. All right, moving on. Post office. Again, mundane, not a particularly rare card, uncommon image, but this kind of stuff can be bread and butter. And if you list it, it might take a while. It will sell. Bennington, Vermont has done well for me just as a location. I've sold a lot of post offices and courthouses. They sell consistently, and they may not be sexy, but they can be good bread and butter. It's just a matter of getting them up, building a store, building quantity, getting it all out there, and the stuff starts selling fairly regularly. Pick this one because I like motto postcards. There, I said it. All right, judge me if you will. I don't care. I like them. I think they're funny. And this one is one of them. You may have brains, but can you prove it? I don't know exactly. I don't think I get the joke entirely, but yeah, it was funny in 1914. Could have sold for the Bellefontaine postmark. But yeah, very simple cards can sometimes make an impact. This one, if you've seen some of my thumbnails for the lives this week, they've pretty much all been white on black. And stuff like this that is stark, it catches your eye, it's bold, can really stand out when people are scrolling through hundreds of postcards. So I think this one's great. Next, oh, how much did it sell for? $3.95. Not huge money, but who cares? Here we have the Wailing Wall, and I picked this one primarily because, you know what? I'm guilty of it. I think a lot of postcard sellers are, especially here in the United States. We focus our time, we focus our energy on United States location and topographical postcards. But international postcards still sell. This did not go to a buyer overseas. This went to one here in the U.S. I've sold multiple this week international postcards that stayed in the U.S. So not everyone is worth spending your time on. Not everyone is going to stay here in the U.S. But you know what? Don't sleep on the international postcards because they do sell. You know, maybe one day a month, list your internationals. Maybe that'll be my New Year's resolution. One day a month, I list my internationals. All right. Here's a nice Tux Thanksgiving Day postcard. This one's actually been on the same postcard, been on Other What Sold. I got two copies of it, came in the collection of Mr. Herbert Love. But I chose this one not because it's Tux, not because it came from this particular collection, but because it's 2 weeks past Thanksgiving. And somebody still came in and bought this card. The next Thanksgiving is 50 weeks away. And it just goes to show, and what a lot of resellers and a lot of people who sell collectibles will tell you, is that holidays sell all year round. Not every holiday sells only during the time. Halloween sells year round. Christmas sells year round. And I will tell you this right now, Thanksgiving sells year-round as well, as does Valentine's Day, as does Easter, 4th of July. There's no reason you should wait to list any holiday. Just list them now. I was listing my Christmas postcards back in June and July, and I've listed every single postcard that I have for Christmas and almost every single holiday postcard that I have in my backstock. And because of that, they're selling, all holidays are selling all the time. It's a little slow for Easter right now, to be honest, but I'm sure as soon as the new year hits, the Easter cards are going to pick right back up again. So there you have it. All right. So this one I picked mainly because I didn't know what this was. I had no idea. Couldn't figure it out. Right? This came in the collection of Mr. Herbert Love. It wasn't posted. But because it came in that collection, I had a clue. Just one clue. Pennsylvania, right? The only other things I could really go on are, one, the length of this bridge. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4 pylons here. So this is spanning a relatively wide river. Just gave me another clue. All right. So there's 2 clues that I have to work with now. 1, probably came from Pennsylvania. And 2, it's a really long ass bridge. All right. So I went to work. I started doing my research. I found a couple of examples of these 2-tiered roofs, which was another clue. This shape is fairly unique for a lot of covered bridges. This second tier or awning coming off the roof gave me a little bit more information. So now I'm just looking for pictures, right? I probably put a good 20, 30 minutes of research into this card until I was confident I knew the subject. And it is the J Street covered bridge in Susquehanna River, Lock Haven, Pennsylvania. So, just goes to show, sometimes you put in a little bit of effort and you get a lot out. Now, this one I sent out an offer. Somebody took me up. Didn't sell for $54.95, but it sold for $46 and change. And I couldn't be happier with it. I had turned down a couple of offers in the $20 and $30 range. So very happy with what this one sold for. And so, yeah, if you don't be afraid to put the time to research something in, put down, go down a rabbit hole and maybe learn something new. The next time I research covered bridges, I'm going to be a lot smarter about how I do it, and I'll know where to go. All right. So I think this one may have shown up in a previous video, but I can't remember. And it really just goes back to the first card that we talked about, where I misspelled road agents. For this postcard, this may be familiar to a lot of people. If you've ever seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind, you know that this is Devil's Tower in Wyoming. Every now and then, I like to just keep myself entertained. I do a lot of listing, sometimes hours and hours and hours at a time. And you know what? I like to have a little fun with it every now and then. So if you actually go to my store, there's Easter eggs hidden in listings all over the place. And there was one hidden in this one as well. And for this one, the only title that I used was actually a quote from the movie. It says, "Postcard. I don't know what this means, or this is, but it means something important." If I could have put in a picture of mashed potatoes, and that would have been funny too. But it's a linen postcard. It's really unremarkable, very uncommon. I actually priced it a little bit higher than I do most of my linen postcards. So, or most of my Devil's Tower. But this one, I did something a little bit different. How did it, is that something that got caught up in the algorithm? I don't know. Is it something that somebody just got a giggle out of and they're like, yeah, I'm going to buy that? I don't know. But, I would say every now and then it's important to have fun with your job. And for me, putting little Easter eggs like this around my store is definitely fun. So that's why I chose this card. And that is going to be it, folks. So here in December, I might break away from the standard twice a week list of everything that's sold format, just to give myself a little bit more time to make some branch out and make a few different kind of videos here. So there is going to be more 101 videos, but I'm also going to maybe put together some like best of 2021. Let myself get a little more creative with some of the content, have a little more fun with it. There will still be at least one what sold video for postcards every week, but I might be changing it up here up until the end of the year. I hope you like it. If you do, let me know in the comments, and we'll see you next week, if not earlier. So thank you for watching.